Block Talk presents explanation. What's up, guys? I'm Professor Sturkey, and on today's show, we're going to talk about a couple different things. Break out your notebooks. It's going to get a little crazy. But first off, let's talk about interest rates. What color? There's the marker. So, what is interest rate? Anyone? Vlad, you got an answer? Oh, in my class. Interest rate is available supply, use my writing, versus rate of production. We'll call it ROP, ROOP for short. So that's what interest rate is. Everyone write that down. Okay, so probably the best selling point of Bitcoin is interest rates. Like if we look at what Bitcoin is right now, its available supply is $10.6 billion. Yeah. But let's look at what's the rate of production. So what is created by the miners every day to kind of pay them to keep up the safety of the network. And I calculated this morning at current prices, it's $2.43 million. That's what's created every day that the market has to absorb. And when you crunch the numbers, that equals about 8.3% interest rate per year. It's what it is today. This changes every day based on the available supply. So rate of production goes into that, it eventually goes up. So that's a pretty high percentage. And you know what? It was even a lot higher than that. You know, like we're only producing 25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. Now we're down this summer, or in a week, that changes to 12 and a half. And at that point, you know, we're just going to, round down and say that makes this about 4%. Well, roughly. That little squiggle there means that that's pulled halfway out of my ass. Anyways, so 4%, interesting enough, is pretty much on par with a lot of government-issued currencies. So anyone who's new to Bitcoin, this should be enough of a selling point to you to realize that Bitcoin is getting better compared to everything else. So let's kind of chart, I guess, what the rate of production looks like. So here we have time. Here we have percent of supply. And 100% is up here. So Bitcoin, it looks about like this. Now it's kind of a little more blocky because right here we went from 50 to 25, and now we're at about right here where we go to 12 and a half. And then next summer, or in 4 years, we have again. And this point right here is really interesting. Like someone might argue with me on where this point is, but we call this an apex. It's a term almost used in racing, where you're kind of at the center of the turn. So we're moving really fast this way, and right here is the center of our turn. So my little race car here, we're accelerating or decelerating, slowing down, negative acceleration, all the way into this apex. And then at this point, we immediately start accelerating again. So the best way to kind of describe what those two are is this is distribution, distro, and this is demand. So in the year 2020, when Bitcoin halves again, you're going to see some real shit because that is our apex. Someone can easily correct me on that if they think it's somewhere else, but that's kind of my opinion. Okay, that's interest rates, guys, and I hope that really kind of hits the nail on the head for you. But now we kind of got to get into more advanced stuff. So, new Bitcoiners, don't be upset if I lose you somewhere. But yeah, by all means, I'm going to do more of these explanations explanations, and I look forward to your comments below on what to do. So, let's get rid of that. Available supply versus rate of production. Now, on to our example. So, I want to use a coin that I interviewed last week, Breakout Coin. Check it out in the Block Talk channel, because it's a fantastic example of multiple different types of coins, at least types of tokens, and also mining. This isn't an endorsement of Breakout Coin, although I think it's a really fun network. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can participate. And they passed my initial test of what are they doing that Bitcoin isn't. So, yeah, that's why I'm going to use them. So their first token on their network is called SIS. SIS. And SIS is literally an exact copy of Bitcoin. It's 21 million coins. It's going to be, every 4 years that amount halves. So it's the exact same curve as what we see here, but it's delayed by 7 years. So it's currently in, your distro phase. So honestly, if you want to get into the Breakout Coin network, probably the best way, if you're a little bit more knowledgeable, is to start mining. Like, it's going to use the same hash rate. I'm told the same equipment that you can mine Bitcoin with, you can mine SIS with, SIS. And it's going to kind of be what's called proof of work. Like, that's what Bitcoin is. It's POW. And not a prisoner of war or anything like that. We don't deal with war in Bitcoin land. So what is proof of work? Proof of work is basically turning a shitload of electricity into random number generation or password guessing. Like, I could take my computer and use the guts of it, the engine of it, to basically guess passwords. And if I find out, a suitcase or a safe, there's a lot of different. That was supposed to be closed, but there's a lot of different combinations you can do here, and you can just keep guessing and guessing and guessing until eventually you get the safe open, and you get the coins that are inside. So that's kind of what proof of work is, and in here there's also a map to the next safe, and that's kind of how that whole system works. Of you solve this safe, you go to the next safe, and then solve that one, and then there's another coin, and that's basically how proof of work works. It's a really expensive way to run a network. Like, when we're dealing with inflation, like right down here, we're dealing with over 100% inflation. Like, right now, there's only, I think, 100,000 SIS coin out there, and there's going to be 21 million, 75% of which is coming in the next 8 years. So, yeah, it's going to be really expensive, but if you want to get, into this network for a cheap price, mine SIS. Okay, so that's half of the network, and SIS was kind of innovative in the way that they wanted to secure their network. They wanted to use proof of work, but they also want to use a new system that was kind of created by, I think, Purecoin was the ones who started it. Proof of stake, POS. Now, this doesn't mean it's a piece of shit, but proof of stake has still some improvements to do. And one of the improvements kind of comes with doing a hybrid. So that's why I think they were smart with, including proof of work. So the POS portion of this presentation is going to be, our example is BRK. Now, this is the one you can buy on Bittrex right now. So if you're not the type who knows how to mine, this is the easiest way for you to get into the network. Because you just buy these coins and you have your transition of, Bitcoin to BRK. There's kind of an evaluation of price figured out there just by the exchange rate on that. And they're kind of, already increasing this the price of it by saying, what's it called? Excuse me, I've been up since 4:30. They're increasing the price of it. By the start of their their crowd sale, you got I think a 25% bonus, and then they went down to 10, and so already they're kind of doing one of these curves of how much BRK are you getting based on time. So that's a real interesting way to do value. And I'll do another video on value and what is money, because that's a really interesting topic too. So how does proof of stake work? So let's see. I bought my little coin, I got that, and I still got the safe. And you know what? It's basically, instead of this number pad, you kind of have a coin slot, and there's a coin return at the bottom, and you just keep putting coins in until eventually you put in enough coins that you solve the block. And I'm not saying you're not getting those coins back, like they come with a coin return. It's just, instead of hash rate or electricity burn, it's based on the amount of coins you have. So you have, 10% of the supply of BRK, you're going to be solving 10% of the blocks for the network, or at least for the proof of stake network. So that's how that works. Any questions? Periscope guys? No? Cool. Let's move on to the next coin, because there's quite a few that breakout guys are doing. Can you guys see my board okay? Yeah, it looks like you did. Sorry, Vitalik, you're in the way. Next is BRX. Now, BRX has a really interesting formula, and you know what, maybe I should make some space here. The dirtiest whiteboard ever. So this is more of a macroeconomic scale. Let's make a microeconomic scale. So right now, based on the amount of Bitcoins raised in the crowd sale, if they raise 2,000, then BRX is created and it's distributed to people who own BRK. So if they don't make 2,000 Bitcoins in their crowd sale, there's going to be no BRX. Now, and then this is a linear curve of based on how much they raise, more Bitcoin, whatever. So this actually creates a really interesting dynamic. And I didn't really cover, I guess, proof of stake. One thing I really like about proof of stake is it's a fixed rate of production. So they're 5% per year, and that's all they're creating. It never changes, except for the available supply change. So it changes slightly based year to year, but still the overall percentage is still the same. Coin production might go up, but percentage is still the same. BRX kind of throws another, let's call it variable in that rate of production. So all the guys who in the crowd sale get BRX, their BRX does proof of stake as well, but it doesn't create more BRX. BRX is a fixed supply. There's no dilution, no rate of production. It's just whatever BRX is made from the crowd sale, that's all there is. But when you stake with it, you produce even more BRK. So yeah, this is a real interesting way. Don't look at me, I'm not an economist, but I think this is a pretty interesting way to run a network. You're incentivizing, more people to hold, but you're also creating more production, which is kind of one of my criticisms of it. Like, they have 3 coins already we've covered, and we still have 2 more. And we're already talking about a lot of production. So that makes the network really heavy. But, you know what? It's pretty fun. And you know what? For a gaming coin, I think the network should probably be fun. That's my interpretation of it. So that's BRK, that's BRX. There's another one called, what is it? I check my note here. BAM. They don't even tell me what they're going to use it for, but instead of there being 21 million with 10 decimal places, there's no decimal places. Which Digibyte, if you ever watch this, you should be learning from that, because no one wants to use a Satoshi Digibyte. Okay. Anyways, let's skip over that one because there's not really a whole lot to say. Let's talk about the next one, which I got it in my save here, and it exists on the same network. Call it a colored coin, and this exists in Bitcoin land too. Counterparty colored coins are basically Bitcoin that's been not really burned, but it's kind of got a color to it, I guess. Like this coin here, it's silver like our other ones, but it's got a color on it, and it moves around the network the same way, through blocks, but it doesn't. It has a unique identifier, so it's a Bitcoin that's different than every other Bitcoin because somebody colored it. So BRX the breakout guys have done this. They made 53 individual ones. And they're called deck. You know, like these are prizes in tournaments, and like I'm sure the ace of spades is worth a shitload of money, and no one's going to sell it to me because I've been asking. I really want some sevens, so if any breakout guys watch this, contact me. I want to buy your sevens. So yeah, they have colored coins on their network, and colored coins are kind of interesting, you know, because yeah, they're even more collectible, they're even more rare, and yeah, like fuck. Anyways, colored coins, yeah, they exist on the network, and they have to pay a fee to move around, and that's kind of the last part of my presentation here on mining types is fee. So fee-based, we'll look at something like NXT. NXT is 100% mined, and it's 100% fee-based. And maybe once Bitcoin gets way over here, it will probably be 100% fee-based because there's not a whole lot of incentive for the miners to mine for new Bitcoins rather than just, you know, get the fees for Bitcoin. So in the breakout network, SYS is the only one who collects fees, you know. All the fees that are paid by BRK to move around, BRX to move around, by our, you know, deck cards, they're all paying, you know, BRK and they're all paying these different coins and SYS, but it only can be collected by the proof of work miners. So again, another interesting little facet of the network that we got going on here. And I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about on my list here. I don't know what time we're at, but this has been a really cool presentation. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the YouTube comments below when I post this there. And any suggestions you want for, you know, future explanations. And yeah, check out Block Talk. I did a really cool one with Breakout, and now I understand it more because it was pretty confusing. And their crowd sale's over on next Wednesday. If you want to really buy some BRK and possibly get some BRX, check it out. Anyways, this has been Explain Nation. Watch Block Talk. I'm Professor Sturkey, and I'm out.